so good to be with all of you for this momentous occasion where we mark the spiritual contributions to our time together. We do all of this in preparation for commencement, a time that we look to as a time of starting, to commence something. But really, commencement simply means to begin again, to start again. But before we do that, I think it's important that we acknowledge where we've been, where we've come from. And this is special to me because class of 2026, I started with you all. I moved here in 2022, started here on the faculty the same time all of you arrived. And if you're anything like me, when you arrived 4 years ago, you were in the midst of a whirlwind. I arrived 4 years ago without my beautiful family. They stayed behind for a couple months. So I was here by myself, like many of you when your parents dropped you off and finally left. And like you, I was trying to figure out the small things, right? Where am I going to get my coffee from now? Where the heck is Target? How am I going to figure out where I'm going to shop? What am I going to eat? What am I going to do? Did I pack my deodorant? You know, the important things. And then, of course, class of 2026, when all of that ran through my mind, and I finally laid in this new bed that was to be my new home, the realness hits. I'm here by myself. I don't know anyone. What in the world was I thinking? Did I make the right choice? Did Stanford make the right choice? And now look at us. Here we are today looking good. I'm going to take a risk here and say that I think the apt word is that we look tea. Did I get that right? For everyone who's not seated at the cool table, tea means you look hot, like a hot pot of tea. You look hot. I just learned that about an hour ago, so I'm a cool kid, at least for the next 20 minutes. And we're able to stand here and look so good because of the life that you have built for yourself. Life is not starting after commencement. Life has already started, and you all have built a beautiful life here at Stanford. I like the way that Martin Luther King Jr. talks about building a complete life. He talks about it in 3 ways. He says there's the length of life, the breadth of life, and the height of life. Now, the length of life is not simply longevity. Longevity has its place. But the length of life is the push you make towards reaching your goals. And all of you here have, by virtue of the stoles you have on, have made progress on the length of life. You've started companies, you've received fellowships, you've received jobs, and also you've received that ultimate mythical thing called rest. You have accomplished so much in the length of life. But what I love so much about what we've done together in these 4 years is that we've also refused to adjust ourselves to being simply selfish. We've allowed ourselves, as King would say, to be maladjusted to certain things. Yes, you've adjusted yourself to a new climate, a new school, a new community, a new curriculum, but you decided to be maladjusted to selfishness. And you engaged in the breath of life by making community. I've been amazed at watching you all build community during this time. Things like On Call, where you come and gather together and know that it's okay to not be okay. Graduate students have put together things called constructive conversations to help build community. Stanford Votes, E Pluribus, the list goes on and on and on. You've done so much to build the breath of life, to reach out to make community. And finally, of course, there's the height of life. That is the reach towards transcendence. I've watched all of you do this. All the way from the increase in the activism and activity and members in our religious and spiritual life. I've watched you do it through artwork. I've watched you do it through building community that goes beyond just those who think like you. You've done tremendous work in reaching the height of life. And so what I want you to remember when you get your diploma is that it is not just credentialing. It's not just something that says you've made tremendous strides in the length of life and now you have received a certain set of skills. Your diploma, your degree that you'll receive, is actually more of an artifact. It's a religious relic, it's a spiritual relic, and it testifies and bears testimony to all that you've built. I want you to recognize that that's what's in your hand, not just credentialing. It's actually a relic that you can look to time and time and time again as you begin again to remind yourself of all the amazing things you've accomplished, but also some of the losses and failures. And yet here you are, looking T. This is what your diploma means. This is what it means. It means to have something you can look to that will testify and speak back to you, that whatever the next stage throws at you, you can handle it. And this is how it should be. Because all of our sacred stories that we love, all of our sacred stories that we read, all of them testify to people who encounter difficult tasks, and the divine will ask them, what's in your hand? Our sacred texts tell us stories about Moses, who comes and says that he's slow of speech. And God asks him, what's in your hand? And Moses says, all I have is a staff. And Moses will use that staff to help free and liberate people. David goes against Goliath, the big giant. You know the story in our sacred text. And David faces Goliath, and all he has in his hands are a couple smooth stones, and he uses those stones to slay Goliath. In the stories of the gospel, Jesus is being followed by a multitude and has difficulty feeding them. And someone tells him there's a little boy with a couple pieces of loaves of bread in his hand, and he uses those to help feed people. So that's what I want you to think about when you receive your diploma. What's in your hand? What are you going to do when time comes to face the Goliaths, to face the social ills, to face all of them? There is no need for you to be afraid because you know what's in your hand. So I wanted to let you know that I don't know what the future holds. None of us knows what the future holds. Experience tells me there will be joy, and experience tells me there will also be some difficulties ahead. There'll be some giants down the road. There'll be some scarcity down the road. But it's okay not to know what the future holds, because you all know one really important thing. You will know what is in your hand. God bless you, class of 2026. We love you and congratulations.